This ain't no audiobook. This ain't a radio play. This is a Happy Cloud AudioToon. It's that time again for the Further Adventures of Rune, Return of the Miggins, brought to you by Happy Cloud Media and Chrome Toothpaste. Chapter 24, Canto 7, Approaching Dismaedonna. The forward path led directly into a gap between the great twisting roots of Yggdrassil, the tree of life, the tree of death. Yeah, you heard all this before. The roots twisted upon themselves, back and through, nodding and writhing. Our travelers clung fast as the darkness around them bloomed suddenly with stars. Down and down they went, then down some more. Now suddenly they climbed upwards, gravity pulling at their bodies even as they climbed further. Above them, the roots were coming to their end, and it was unclear what was to be done when they arrived at the tips. Reaching up towards the last knotted roots, Rune saw above his head iron clouds rolling in, obscuring now the stars around him. With a chilling crack, the root snapped off in his right paw, and he hurled upwards, the gravity no longer at his tail but seizing his head. Rune fell up for about 3 feet. The cloud was solid. It halted his ascent and left him in a heap. No. Wait, the cloud wasn't solid. What it obscured was hard-packed sand, ebony and crystalline, puffed up around him as he unheaped himself and rolled onto his back onto the, well, was ground the right word? Above him, Dusty and Scarlet stared down, or up, at him in abject confusion. Rune sighed. Don't think about it. It took a few moments of fighting instinct, not to mention all knowledge of physics, but soon his companions joined him on he decided on the word surface to stave off madness. Nearly every one of them had landed on their head, which was, at least, fun to watch. Standing up and brushing themselves off, they looked to Rune now to get their bearings. He sniffed the air for hints of jasmine and lavender that would lead him in the right direction. Over here, he said, and led the way. Before them was a vast black desert, meeting at the horizon a slate-gray sky, with all the misery and depression that came with such a vista. Over that ridge, Rune said, Dismaedonna. So they walked some more. Rune pulled the Gax aside. Gax, where are we? Still Act 2, boss. Road of Trials. Still with the walking? Still with the walking, but we're literally meeting with the goddess, so that's another step to cross off. Yay, said Rune without humor. The walk was made no shorter by the party attempting to name some gods. I mean, every religion has a death of some kind, but I'm trying to remember the first ones, said Scarlet, and Rune was dismayed that she was the one to get this particular stone rolling up the endless hill. Death and dreams, said the Gax. I'm sure of one of those. Depression, said Brother Theodore. Deception, said Father Dawn. Dorothy, said Dusty. I'm a friend of hers. Hey, me too, said Scarlet. Did somebody already say depression? With each step, Rune's apprehension grew. As has been noted, he'd not seen Circe Circa since she'd ejected him from Dismaedonna so many fleens ago. Assuming the mantle of Death Goddess meant casting aside distractions to her responsibilities, romance included. But he'd always wondered, should he have fought harder for her? Should he have defied the laws of nature pertaining to her particular underworld? Could they, for example, have funneled her specific souls of the damned into some other afterlife? They all seemed to be pretty much the same as far as he could see. Dis seemed okay, he thought. Couldn't they have outsourced? In a rare show of grace, Rune accepted Circe's decision and left in sorrow. In half a heartbeat, he'd been returned to the surface world, the land of the living, the realm of mortality. All his physical wounds healed, he felt stronger and healthier than ever before, certainly better than when he died. Of course, she dumped him back into the exact middle of the war between the Betterns and the Worcestershires. That had been awkward. He'd killed 7 on each side before they'd all worked it out. For Bettern and Worsts, there was a relief to see the corpses finally staying down. Both sides thanked Rune for doing whatever it was to break the immortality curse. They got back to their merry slaughter with songs in their hearts and blood on their shoes. Still heartbroken, and now muddy and bloody on top, Rune effed off to the nearest tavern, which turned out to be half 100 clicks away. So away he slogged. But now, who was this woman he was about to meet again, this goddess of death? Upon seeing him, would the fleens rush back? Would there be regret in her dark eyes? Judgment in those weird little skulls she wore as adornments? Perhaps she'd updated her accessories in the intervening time. As they continued their trudge, Rune's mouth grew dry, his legs grew weak, and his ego deflated. Sneezes, oblong, blurg, he cursed beneath his breath. Who the hell am I becoming? I fought Harryhausen's hundreds of clicks high. I brought down 2 governments. I can face an old girlfriend. So gradually did the trees grow around them that the party scarcely noticed until the path had darkened. Each and every tree had branches at obscenely acute, barely legal angles. The curves seemed somehow erotic and lascivious, and each cluster of knots seemed to form a feminine face. Rune stopped the Miggins in their tracks. He indicated the salacious forest around them now. We're near. We're among the succulent dryads. Father Dawn grimaced. He'd heard of the creatures. Scarlet's hand went to the knife at her hip. Any second now, this path could become a gauntlet. A very sexy gauntlet, said Bluebottle, who was immediately hushed by all. Shh! The trees seemed to like that, however, and while no breeze stirred, the branches shuddered just the same, and seemed to say, in unison. They crested the ridge. "Wasn't D'Artagnan one of them fellers?" offered Eccles, and was likewise shushed. There, before and below them, was the ossified city, the sad labyrinth. The city had grown exponentially since Rune's last visit. Lights burned in the vast network of homes below, spanning in all directions, north to whence and beyond, keeping safe the souls who worshipped Circe. Rune paused, and his ears twitched, straining to hear the strains of sad strings, Tori Amos and or Gustav Mahler, or whatever the dead kids were listening to these days. Instead, a trumpet fanfare emanated from nowhere. Hands slapped to aural orifices, and legs collapsed beneath bodies as the brass crescendoed. Even the thin clouds above fled the noise. Just as abruptly, the horn section ceased its cacophony, and a chariot of onyx and chrome, drawn by 4 black stallions with manes and tails of silver, impossibly crested the sheer cliff, riding upon a shimmering purple mist. The delicate scent of lavender kissed Rune right in the nostrils. Already driven to their knees, the Miggins was in perfect subservient position before the chariot, now surrounded by beautiful curvy creatures of wood, weapons born of their own bodies, fangs gleaming bright in their mouths. The Succu Dryads escorted their goddess from the vehicle, the soles of her thigh-high boots taking steps in the air as if descending a staircase. There she stood, the Empress of the Underworld, the queen of the demon divas. Circe Circa. Her long black cloak drifted on the non-existent breeze, as did her flowing black skirts. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes and hair black. At her hairline, her throat, and around her waist were circlets of tiny skulls, taken from what species Rune was never certain, which seemed to echo her every emotion. Taking another step forward, the cloak about her gathered and flattened against the ground, becoming again her shadow. Its name was Shadow, because why not? You want it to be called Bernie? Empress, healer, destroyer, basest, Circe Circa.
"Okay, this is cool and all,"
she said,
"but you can get up.
Ruby lips pulled now into a wide grin. Just as wide, she threw open her arms.
And everyone give me hugs!"
Thus concludes this week's episode. Join us next week for another frivolous installment of The Further Adventures of Rune.